So continuing with our business process automation, we have taken a look at what is validation rules, how validation rules are used to enforce business integrity when data is entered, and then we looked at workflows, which will send emails, task, update the field of the same particular record, and these are the three things: evaluation criteria and whether created, edited. Okay, so we have seen that we there's one more thing in that workflow which is called as time based. Either it will fire immediately or after some time. Alright, so we also created that. Now let's look at the process builder. Now process builder is the new lightning version of business process automation which Salesforce gives you, right? So eventually you need to move from workflow to process builder. So what does it give? It's a lightning business process automation tool that Salesforce gives you. So what are these capabilities? First is it can call an Apex class. Now Apex class we are not going to do here because that is part of the development part. So if you have any classes created, then you can call it create a record. Now in this case you will see that we were creating a task yesterday. Here we can create any record. We can create an account, contact, any custom object, any standard object, and it will be related. It should have a relationship with the current record on which the process builder is based. Then it can send email alerts similar to what we saw yesterday. Then you can call something called as lightning flows. Lightning flows is covered in a separate topic. Post to chatter. As you have seen, you have chatter feed. You can post data to chatter on any update. Then you can do quick actions like create a activity, log a call. Any quick action that you create in lightning or for an object can be called here, and you can submit it for approval. As we have seen the approval process in the other video. If you're not, you can take a look at that. What is our approval process? So you can submit records for an approval process. Then update records. Now you can also update the same record. Earlier you could only update field, right? So you can update records here in the same record or related records also. So let's take a look at this. So you can call an Apex class. You can create a record. You can send email. You can start lightning flows. You can post data to chatter. You can do quick actions. You can submit for approval and update the records. So let's look at this. So if you have a typical Apex class, which you will see in the development module, this is the admin one, admin and app builder module. If in the development module we have created classes, right? So if you annotate it as invocable method, that class will be accessible in the process builder. Then you can create a record of any particular object that you want, and you can pre-fill the field. Either it can be a formula or it can be a reference, field reference. Then you can invoke a lightning flow if you have created flow. So you can look at the flow video created separately, and you can also post to chatter either to a particular user or to a group. So what are the major differences? In workflow you can do only a couple of things, whereas in process you can do more. So these are the general comparisons between workflow and process, and there are some limits like how many rules and process you can have per object. As we know, we are working in a multi-tenant environment. You can have 50 per object. So these are some other governor limits you should be aware of. So now let's actually take a look at each of this process builder actions. So we are heading over to the actual lab now. So first and foremost, what we will do is we need to search for process builder. Now what we will do is we are going to disable the workflow rules which we created for the which we created for the student master, and we are going to migrate that to remember there is no migration tool. You'll have to create it. So I'm going to deactivate this rule. Now this workflow rule is deactivated. Okay, so now let's go to the process builder and create the same set. So we're going to create a process builder to automate the task for is going to send an email, and the moment the student master is created, we are going to create some actions. So let us see what all we are going to do. So let's create one. and say student master 2 process. Okay, so let's take the name. So you can give a description. Right now we can say, see, now as we say in the evaluation criteria, it was either created or so these are the three things. The record changes. If something happens to the record, a platform event is there is something called as event architecture in Salesforce, which is like for use for IoT and other, which is out of the scope here for this discussion. If any of this event fires, then it will run this. Otherwise, or it is also called by another process. We'll be doing mostly the record changes. 99% of the times we'll be doing record changes. So now here is the process builder screen. Now let's add the object that we want to select. So we are going to say student master 2. Yeah. So here it asks us, the evaluation criteria. What was there? It was edited, created, or edited, or did not match up. So here we have only 2 when a record is created. So let's take that, and we have some advanced if you want recursion. So it is better to avoid this. Sometimes this can cause conflicting. Recursion allow process to evaluate a record multiple times in the single transaction. So whenever one particular condition is satisfied, it will go and fire all the process. This is advisable not to run this unless there are some other process, like suppose you want to update some account field. Based on that, you have another process builder. You want to run ensure that all the rules run. Then it will evaluate if there is any other criteria. If the process builder runs and updates the same record and changes some values and you want it to run, then in that case you require to select this. But right now you can keep it, you need not do it if you design your process well. So just keep it empty, save, and we are going to give a add criteria. So this is our first one. So here either you can give the same way if the student master, but in case suppose you just want to fire it, process builder comes out with a thing like you just want to fire it every time a master is created. So I'm going to select that. Now these are the things you already seen in workflow. So we are selecting the last one. So this is going to fire anyway. And now it takes us to the immediate actions. So let's add an action here. So whenever I create a student master, I'm also going to create a account record of that name. So what we'll do here is, this record type, don't confuse with the record type of Salesforce. This is account. So now what happens here is it asks us for the name. So it asks us for the fields. So let's do one thing. Let's take a field reference and take the student master name. Now it's going to show the student master because it's built on student master. So we are going to take the student master name. One thing we need to make sure is we need to see if any required fields are there in. If I create an account, what are the things that are required? Because if you don't add the required fields, it may fail. So if I create a new account, alright, there are a number of required fields here. So let me select contacts. What we'll do is let's create a contact and see if how many fields are required over there. So this is okay. So there aren't many required fields excepting for the contact, last name, and other. So instead of account, I'm going to select contact. So I'm going to create a contact every time a student master is created. So the last name is going to be a field reference, and it's going to take the student master name. Now if you have a relationship set lookup with account, you can also do that, but right now we are not going to do that. We are just going to create an account contact, and then we're going to fill the other required field with. Just going to fill it with some and just save it. So what it's going to do is it's going to take a contact and last name from our student master. So this is the first action. So it's going to let's change the name to create contact. Save it. So another point here is it shows you two types. One is string is a direct data field reference any field from the current object. If you have any global constants created, that also you can. Right now we don't have any global constant created, or any formula field if you want to build any formula. Okay, all these are different types. The formula is similar to the process builder. Again, you can use the same fields. It will show you from student master. What we have seen in validation rules is the same thing. So right now we are not going to use that. So we continue with this. Let's change this to the default string, and let's add another action. Now we're going to send the email alert. So let's see, let's reuse the template that we have. Now the thing here is you'll have to create email student and internal team. See, this is another different thing. So this process builder uses something called as email alerts. So you need to create a email alert here. This will not show our existing one. Now let's see if it's something already we have created. If you have created something, you can always reuse the same. Yeah, yesterday we had created email alert to student internal team. So let's reuse that. How it searches here is email alert. If you give the name, matching name, it takes it. So this is the email alert. If you look at the email alert, it was being used by our workflow rule. So let's reuse the same one, email alert, which we created alert. What does the email alert contain? This was the one which we created yesterday. It selects the template which we already created yesterday, email template, student template. So let's save this. So now two actions have been created. Now let's add one more action. Right now we are not going to do the flows part. We'll post to chatter. Say post student created. This will post to chatter. And we'll just select a user for now. You can create a group later. Let me select Naren, and here the merge fields. I can use the merge fields like in the email template. So I'll say was created, please assist new student. So this can be directed to a group too, and if there is any chatter topic, you can use that. So I just said post to this particular user. You can post it to a group also. So let's save this record. So now we have three actions. Let me add one. Now if you want to call any additional process, then you can call the process. Right now we don't want to do anything, so process can call another process. That's the basic rule here. And then let's look at if we have any quick actions. So how do we create quick actions? If there are any actions, like say for example, we want to create a new case. Now these are created here. If you go to any object, say cases, if you look at that object, now where are quick actions created? If you click on the under the cases button object, so this is from where you create. Okay, create a case, or so you can expose this object and it will do it gives you a set of macros. You can select which target object and what you want to do. You want to create a record, send an email. So right now you can create some quick actions and they'll come and reside under that object. And apart from that, also there are some global actions also. If you search global, same way you can create an action. Basically it will create a record or something. So here we have already created some new cases, and it also has some layout, like what data you want to show it in that. So it is just another way of adding data in your, this is especially used in your phone layouts, as you have already seen in the layout video. If you're not, please look at the layout video. And quick actions. So let us select a quick action and say, not this one, sorry. Yeah, we'll say right now we don't have any, so we can also say for that contact, since we don't have any relationship, it's going to just arbitrarily create a case, so there's no contact related to it, and say subject create reserve a room in student area. And we create a subject, so we need to give all the required fields. So this way we can actually define a quick action. Right now we don't need to create as much, so let's say case. Now if you create a case, always remember whenever you do these automations, always give the required fields, otherwise it will error out. So now you can see business hours, number of required fields, status and case origin. Let me give that. And so this is another way where you can create a record. So we're not going to relate it to any particular record. If you want, we can relate it to the case that we have here. So this will be our current record ID. And there goes the quick action. So this is a case and it will be assigned to depending on your assignment rule. So now we have created number of actions here. Let's look at the actions created. Create contacts, send welcome mail, post, and create booking. Also we were doing one particular, last time we were doing, or we can also create a task based on this. And now here there is a submit for approval. I already created an approval process. You can look at the approval annexure video. Say submit for approval, submit the student for approval based on grades. So I'm going to say search for approval process. So let's look at the approval process I created. So if you go to the student master 2, approval process is like workflow process. Basically it goes into a set of requirements which needs to be created. Like say let me create a quick workflow process here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add one small field here into the student master 2 and say call it like text area and say call it like comments. I'm going to create a new field called comments of type text area. Click on next. And this will get added to the layout. So now we are good. And now what I'm going to do is in the approval process, I'm going to use this object. So let's create a new approval process. Approval process is, like in typically in any office or any organization, you have like a series of approvals that anything, like say for your expense or a room booking. So let's see. So we're going to do click next, and we're going to say if age is greater than 0, so it will always enter. It asks for a criteria, just like but the difference between the workflow and approval process is, approval process manually, you have to submit it manually or through process builder. So this is the automation that process builder gives you. Otherwise you'll have to submit a process manually. So let us see. And also there is an approval assignment. It's again an email template which you can decide, you can create. So this is the email template that will be used to notify approvers that the approval. So you have to say that a new template is, create a new template and say that this user is being assigned for an approval. Alright, so couple of options, take all of them, and who are the initial submitters, then save it. So now we need to create the step. So step 1 will be, and in this approval step 1, the first step, it will be submitted. So you can also give it now. Right now we'll say all records enter this step if the criteria are met. So if further you can add more criteria. So I'm basically creating an approval process within a process builder. So here right now I'm going to select myself as an approver in the next step. You can experiment with the other user later. And now there is an approval action. Now whenever there is a approval which happens, you can take some steps. So as you can see, this is the same set of actions that you have in your workflow action. So approval actions also can do the same thing. So right now we'll do a field update and say, just a minute. So this is the first, and I'm going to say I'm going to approval action. So I can use the formula field here and say I'm going to update the comment field as student is approved. Alright, so we have one initial submission. Whenever a record is submitted, it will become locked to the approval process, and then you have an approval step 1, and it says, it shows the actions that we have, and then we have the final rejection. If anybody rejects it, if you see the actions, you can see, like field update. So let's also add a field update for rejection, and again I'm going to update the same field. So this is going to say the student is rejected. So this will fire when the student is rejected, when the record is rejected. So you created so same way what happens is, so now we have a workflow process. Initially it's going to take the student master record, anything, then it will log the record enters this step. Now if this in the first action, this can have multiple steps. Okay, you can have multiple steps here. So at each step you can define actions. So here I'm just keeping a simple action of approving it or rejecting it. So with this, my pretty much done. So I don't have any final approval as actions or unlock the record for editing. Once it is approved, I can unlock the record for editing. And final action here is, again, it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to unlock the record. Then you can add more stuff here if you want to do final. So I'm not doing any final approval action, I'm just adding actions to the step. So we have to activate this workflow, this approval process, I'm sorry. And you can also see the process diagram as to how this works. So it's going to take some time because it needs the Chrome setup. Yeah, this will give you a map like view. So here we have the entry criteria that starts. So we don't have a recall action here. Initially record is submitted into the step. If it is confirmed, it goes to approve actions, otherwise we have reject action. So this gives you the map of the actions. So now with this approval process ready, let's head back to our process builder and call that approval process. So maybe we'll just cancel this once and add this action. So if you remember, we have created so many actions here. So let's add the actions. Submit for approval. Just give it some name. So we are not going to take the default approval process. So we're going to select the specific approval process, which is student. Okay, so we are getting some issue here. So let's see what it is. Okay, that is a refresh issue here. So what we'll do is, let's not, we'll come back here. So we have 4 actions here. And let's see the last action, update records. Same way we are going to either you can update related records, or since we don't have any updated related record, we just go to same record we're going to update, and we're going to update the same record. You can update related records also. So we are going to make confirm true, right? That was what we did over there. So it shows us the fields that we want to change. So we're going to select confirmed and we're going to make this true. Awesome. So we have got all the 7 steps ready, excepting for submit for approval. So what we'll do is, let's see if it shows the approval type now or still. Okay, so let's skip the approval process. We'll come back over here. So we have so many actions. First is we are going to create an action and create a contact. We send a welcome message, post. Then instead of creating a task, we are creating a case this time. We can also create a quick action to create a task that we are not doing. Then we can update the same field. So now let's activate this and get this running. So now our process builder is active. So now let's go to the student master and let's get cracking. So we create a new record Logan. We don't set anything else, and the student email is set to Naren RR, which is my email. I'll save the record now and just select for the sake of. Hope you remember the pick list config. Any of the topics that you feel you have in doubt, go and rewind the video, watch it slowly, practice the whole labs from scratch. So I'm going to create the new student master and let's see how our process builder fires. So now let's go to cases. See, now it's already created reserve a room in student colony. It's created this case. Then it should have created a contact too. So if you go to contacts, it would have created a contact the same name we had created, remember? So see, it has created already. So this is very powerful tool, so much automation. It has also taken the other value from the student master. Then let's look at the tasks. Yeah, so it has created in progress task here. Let's wait for it. It's not updated here. It's showing a different date. Yeah, 26th. Oh no, we created a case this time, not a task. And what are the other things? Chatter. So if you go to the student master, let's move to chat lightning. So we're going to check for this chatter record. Yeah, so here the task has already come up. And let's see if, oh, we didn't submit it for approval. So what are the other actions we had created? Let's check once. Of course the email would have gone out. So let me go and check at the process builder what are the other actions which we had created. So the process builder had yeah, so we had this big one running. So created the contact, created the case, and chatter is what we have to see now. Chatter will be in the home feed. Actually we have to configure chatter, so we have not. Yeah, so this is the chatter feed. It has got updated. See, please assist new student. It will come up in the chatter feed. So we have said Logan was created, please assist the new student. So this is the awesome part of process builder. So it created the contact, created the case, posted it to chatter, and if you look at the same record, student master confirmed would have got updated of that record. Yeah, so confirmed is marked as true. So that's pretty awesome. So the one thing pending is the flows and the process builder. The flow is slowly being retired in Salesforce, but we still have a appendix video in that, so you can refer to that. So it will just fire up that one also. So process builder does that too. So, but the pending thing is the approval. Now an important point here is, now when we want to clone this, what we have to do is we have to click on clone. So it is going to ask you want a version of a current process. I'll say yes, because I want to add the submit approval. So now I'm going to go here, add actions, and say submit for approval. And let's see now if we get the student master up. Yeah, so now that was a refresh issue. So now I'm going to also update this. So either you can skip the entry criteria, but no need to skip the entry criteria. So we say submit for approval. So that's going to happen the next time. Alright, so let's go ahead. So all the actions, so many actions here, even submit for approval we'll see. So now let's go ahead, create a student. So let's make it more efficient. Every time we have to go there and make a change here. So let's see if we can add a let's clone this record, so make it faster. So clone will say Logan 1, everything else let it be the same, and we're going to save the record. So student master Logan, so confirm became true. So if I go home to my home page, I'll be able to see Logan 1 was created. So same way the tasks will start popping up. So it also shows that the approval student master. Only thing is it's also created a student master. So let's go to the approval record. So okay, that's because we have given an automatic approval there in the process builder, which we will have to change. if you go to the approval process, we have automatically given it a approval step, so that's why reason it's getting approved automatically. So in our case it has got approved automatically, so which is fine. And let us see, that is because the comments didn't get updated, so let's work on that and let's fix that. Let's see that we get a update in the comments. So let's click on the student master again, click on login. So comment is not updated, so let's fix that. Let's go back to approval process, and again we are going to open up the student master to edit this. So we go here, next, next, next. So in this step there's something which is going, step 1. Yeah, we'll change this to all records must no auto approval. So let's save the record. Something is going wrong here. Enter the step if the following criteria are met.